All right, everybody, it's 6:30. It's time to start our program. I want to welcome everybody here. My name is Chris Romine, and I have the absolute distinct honor to be up here to be your host and guide through tonight. And I think you're going to find this an absolutely just wonderful event. And I'm again on behalf of the Boy Scouts of America Southwest Florida Council. I would like you to welcome you to the 8th annual Manatee District Distinguished Citizens Good Scout Award Dinner. We have the honored individuals in the past who have rendered selfless service to our community, and this year is no exception, as we will honor an outstanding individual who has made many contributions to our community and beyond. But at this time, please enjoy our opening video, which will be followed by the posting of the colors and an invocation by our scouts. Video, please.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Color guard, present the colors. Scout salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard, post the colors. Two. Color guard, reform. Color guard, dismissed.
All right. I want to welcome you again to the 8th Annual Distinguished Citizen Good Scout Award Dinner. Your attendance and support this evening enables Scouting to deliver character-building programs within our community. The Distinguished Citizen Award is presented annually in our community to honor an individual whose good works reflect the values at the very heart of Scouting and whose life serves as a role model to young people. But before we get started with our program, I want to recognize a few folks, because a lot of work goes on behind the scenes to make this happen. First, I want to recognize the Distinguished Citizens Dinner, and it is made possible through the work of a dedicated steering committee. I want to call your attention to our steering committee in your programs. I think you probably have seen the names. And I would like to ask these individuals to stand and be recognized at this time. And again, a dinner like this isn't possible without our sponsors. This evening would not be possible without the generosity of many supporters and dinner sponsors. I call your attention to special guardian and patron supporters in your program. Thanks to each business and individual for their support. We appreciate it, and thank you. And at this time, I would like to give a special acknowledgement to our full table Eagle level dinner sponsors, and they are here with us tonight. The Gold Eagle sponsors, Synovus Bank, represented by Ron Beck, Senior Vice President. The Beckstein Family Charitable Trust, represented by Gene and Ann Beckstein. I'd like to recognize our silver sponsors, and please stand as we call your name. Bells, represented by Dan Love, President. NDC Construction, represented by Ron Ellen, President. And SunTrust Robinson Humphrey, represented by Andy Lee, the Director of Corporate Banking. Andy? Now, at this time, I want to recognize a kind of a very special person and group that's here with us tonight. Charles Clapsaddle and METV. We want to thank them so much for their time and talent that they've given us, the community, over the years. And I want to present them with a plaque. I'm going to walk over and grab it. Thanks again. Another round of applause for METV. Thanks, guys. And of course, we want to recognize too the Manatee Performing Arts Center for letting us use this beautiful facility. And if there's any staff here with us tonight from the theater, please stand and be recognized. We'll give them applause anyway. So at this time, we're going to get into the crux of our program. I have the pleasure of introducing one of our fine scouts here in Manatee County, and would ask Peter Van Buren to come up forward. Peter is a 13-year-old and is in 7th grade at the Sarasota Military Academy. Peter is a tenderfoot scout and hard at work at earning advancements and merit badges. Peter has already been recognized for providing over 100 hours of community service in our community, with many more to come. And in the future, I'm sure there will be many, many more. Peter, we look forward for you to come on up and sharing with us your story. The stage is yours, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my scouting journey with you. And why scouting is very important to me. I have made many friends in scouting, and we have created lots of fun memories. But let me tell you where my scouting journey first began. I was in the 1st grade when my family first moved here. My brother Jonathan was just starting kindergarten, and my brother Andrew, 4 at the time, stayed home with Mom. We were the new kids at school, but towards the end of the year, one of my new friends came to school in a blue uniform. I wanted to know more about the blue uniform. He said that he was a Cub Scout, so I wanted to know more about the program. Our first summer in Florida came and went, and the new school year started. I was in the 2nd grade, and that's when the flyer answering all my questions came home. I decided that I wanted to join scouting after all my questions were answered. I was not the only one at our first camp out having their first camping experience. It was my mom's first camping trip, and she did pretty well without my dad, if I do say so myself. It was the first time that we set up a tent, and basically it was an adventure with fun-filled new experiences for all of us. We did so many things that I had never done before, like cooking in the outdoors, making plywood derby cars, canoeing, BB shooting, kayaking, archery, and much more. In the 5th grade, my friendships at school started changing, and I was bullied by another boy in my class. I had never had any problems before with any teachers or any other students in my classes, so I didn't understand why this boy was being so mean to me. I want to thank the Scout leaders that had made my 5th grade year easier and better for me. I had to learn to be brave, the 10th point of the Scout law, so my speech for the Tropicana speech contest became about bullying. I was able to give the speech in front of all the 5th grade and the boy that was bullying me. I was glad that I was not the only one facing this problem, and I was glad that I had leaders in Scouting that were helping me not face this problem alone. I was able to stand up for myself and others who were not brave enough to stand up for themselves. Continuing in Scouting is very important to me. I want to make my Eagle rank so that I have more skills that will help me achieve my goals in the future. I want to become a leader so that I can help others that have gone through the same problems I have, so nobody else has to go through them. This has made me feel like Scouting has a bigger meaning than just teaching survival skills. It gives you life skills that help you make good choices and make you be a better person. The Scouting program has helped me in more than one way. That's why I think more boys should be in Scouting so they can learn the same morals and lessons I have learned. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Peter. That was a very nice presentation. At this time, we'd like to recognize some of our past recipients of this award. We're honored tonight to have several past Distinguished Citizen Good Scout Award recipients with us. I'd like to recognize them and ask that they stand. And audience, please hold your applause until they all stand. And I have 3 of them here with us tonight. And if you would please stand and be recognized. Jerry Neff. Bradenton Kiwanis. That could be quite a few people. And finally, Cliff Walters. Let's give them a round of applause. I'm going to thank you all for attending. At this time, I'd like to call up Ron Allen. Ron is one of our 2018 co-chairmen for the Good Scout Award presentation, and he is going to have the honor of presenting this award. So, Ron?
Thank you. Thank you and good evening. At this time, I would direct your attention to our screen for a special video honoring tonight's honoree.
I've known Gene for probably over 25 years now. So my first introduction with Gene was back in the Economic Development Council days when he was running his business and growing it, and had an opportunity to work with him at the Chamber and EDC. And I knew right then that I was dealing with a special guy.
I've known Gene and Ann for almost 20 years now. Gene and I first met through the Manatee Community Foundation when he was part of the investment committee, as we looked to be good stewards of funds that folks were leaving to do good work throughout Manatee County. So I learned a lot from Gene, from his business acumen to how he looked at things, how we could make sure we did things in the best way always. So I've known Gene for almost 20 years.
Well, I've known Gene Beckstein for so long I can't remember when I first met him, but I do remember having involvement with him when he was helping rescue a nonprofit that was being challenged, and his fellow board members thought so much of him they elected him chair of the nonprofit. And Gene, as with everything Gene does, he took it on as his mission in life to bring value and leadership to that nonprofit.
I couldn't ask for a better dad. He was always there to support myself and my siblings, along with my mom, and he was the kind of father who would demand the best from you, always pushed you to do what he thought you were capable of. Sometimes you didn't know you were capable of it, probably like a coach on a team, but he was always there to help you and support you, but also encourage and push you to do the best that you could do, to be the best that you could be.
One of the key facets that I remember a lot about Gene is his ability to analyze things in a way that most folks can't. He has such an analytical mind. And then when you add in the integrity component to it, analyzing, adding the strength of character, I learned a lot from Gene and how to just deal with every kind of situation.
There's a lot of great stories when you're sitting in boardrooms and having meetings and fighting hard for the kids and the causes that you're there to discuss and to work for. And the one thing about Gene, that another area that I truly respect, is that Gene fights with a passion for that cause and for those kids. And if there's opportunities sometimes where there's no right answer, they're all good answers. And if Gene comes up on the short end of a vote, Gene is the first one to say, I'm with it, let's move forward, full speed ahead. And that takes an incredible man to be able to step up and support whatever is best for that organization, whether he's driving that decision or somebody else is. And Gene's there 100% to back it and keep moving everything forward. So that's one area that I think is another very unique quality of a strong man, a strong leader. And I think about the award he's receiving today. It's amazing how many of those qualities in the Scout Law that Gene represents. Virtually every one of them. The one exception, Gene, I may have to throw out here, is obedience. So he does obedient in a funny way, because he's just such a great guy that's probably a no-brainer either. But that's the only one I think of all the trustworthy, the loyal, the honesty, the integrity, all those great qualities that embodies a Scout. Gene has. So that's an easy one for Gene.
The Scout Law has many statements within it that everyone is familiar with when they hear it repeated. One I would like to mention to Gene about being Gene Bechstein that might not otherwise be thought of is kindness. He is a person that is so kind to others that need help, that maybe have gotten themselves into difficulty, and he doesn't attribute blame. He just jumps in, rolls up his sleeves, and takes care of the problem.
The one thing that I think strikes me the most with Gene is selflessness. Gene does it for the right reasons. Gene doesn't do this great work out of getting something back from others. This is totally something that he's doing for others. And so I think that's something that's unfortunately more unique than it should be in this world, but Gene is the guy that's selfless and does it for the right reasons, and that's really exciting to be a part of somebody like that.
The trait about my father that most relates to my family is his fairness and compassion. He has always tried to treat all of the children in the family equally and the same, and he's also been there to help and support all of our family. And through life you go through ups and downs, and both of your parents you would hope are there to help you through those difficult times, and both he and my mom have been very, very supportive of all of us children through all of the difficult times and things that we've had to deal with in our lives personally and professionally. So I definitely think his compassion, his fairness, his support all through the years has been the most important thing for me.
Gene views this community as his family. He looks at those that need help and says, I think to himself, that's part of my family. I need to find a way to help those people. And it doesn't matter whether they're children trying to learn to read, whether it's a blind person that needs a guide dog. Gene always seems to be where help is needed. He is a wonderful board member on the boards that I've observed him engaging with the board. He is a wonderful attribute to those that need help. He's just a great guy.
I think Gene is one of those individuals who takes the word philanthropy and the welfare of others literally. And a scout does exactly that. They want to be trustworthy. There's the whole list of attributes, the kindness. And Gene takes every one of those and emulates those, not just himself, but through his family. So I would say to you that it's all of those things that a scout does that Gene emulates, but most importantly, I'd say the trustworthiness.
His tireless continued support over the years with all our not-for-profits in so many ways, he's impacted them. As a leader, as a financial donor, and I've had the privilege of having him come on multiple boards with me and help those causes, and he's just done a tremendous job. I mean, his wisdom, his experience, his financial acuity is unmatched. So it's just a pleasure to have somebody like Gene work on those not-for-profit boards, and the philanthropy that he's shown and the benefits that it's provided our community is really amazing.
I don't know if I would say this is indicative of everything he is, but when I was very close to getting my Eagle Scout, I was about 16 and I was just on the edge of where you'd think, oh, well, I might not make it. And Dad came to me and he said, if you don't get your Eagle Scout, you're not getting your driver's license. And so he was encouraging me in his most direct way to achieve something. And I have to say I look back on that though and think that was really just the push that I needed to achieve what I would think for me personally was a very important goal, and a goal that I'm very proud of. So I do think his encouraging manner, sometimes through unconventional means, was very helpful.
One of the things that makes Gene such a great candidate for this award is his ability to support so many different things. When you take a look at the Scout Law and you see helpful, the definition is Gene. Gene is helpful. He has been helpful not only to the Manatee Community Foundation, but he chaired Mote Marine Laboratory and Aquarium through some important growth and transition years. He's come back and made sure that Manatee Community Foundation has the building of the future. Not to mention the fact that as a good neighbor to Easter Seals, he and Ann help Easter Seals. And the list goes on and on. So helpful is probably Gene and Ann's middle names.
Gene Beckstein, in my opinion, is a wonderful choice for this year's Good Scout Award. Gene is unassuming, but he exemplifies the attributes that one would like to think applies to all Boy Scouts. He is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, at all. He is such a wonderful person to exemplify the Scout Law. His history and legacy of leadership and community involvement is a testimony to the award and to him.
The 2018 Good Scout Award. Congratulations, Gene, you deserve it.
Gene and Ann, congratulations on being the recipient of the 2018 Good Scout Award.
Congratulations, Dad. It's a great honor for a great man, and I can't think of a more deserving individual than yourself. Thank you for all you've done for our family, for the community, and for those around you. It's a great honor, and you deserve it.
Gene, congratulations on being the 2018 recipient of the Good Scout Award. Good job.
At this time, I would ask Gene Beckstein be escorted to the stage. In scouting, we teach our youth the importance of teamwork in developing successful relationships. Our honoree this evening will no doubt, and he shouldn't, say his success has been a team effort with his wife Ann, who have been married for over 62 years. From the starting and building of a successful business to spearheading many successful philanthropic efforts across our community over the years, Gene and Ann have been a team, and Manatee County thanks you for that. And this evening, we would like to thank you and recognize you with a dozen roses. Thank you, Ann, and the community thanks you also. The Southwest Florida Council of BSA is proud to honor Gene Beckstein with the SWFL Council Manatee County Distinguished Citizen Good Scout Award. Gene, over many years, has distinguished himself in the community by demonstrating unselfish service to others while exemplifying through his actions those important values held in such high regard by Scouting. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Gene, and this is a little uncomfortable because I think everybody in the room pretty much knows Gene's story because of the successes he's had in Manatee County and in our community. He and his wife, Ann, founded an eye surgical equipment company, Visitech, in 1978 and ran the company locally until they sold it in 1997. Gene is a graduate of Indiana University with a BS in Business Management and holds a master's in Finance and Marketing from Ball State University. Gene's retirement didn't last very long, did it, Gene? As in shorter, he decided to volunteer for organizations such as the Southeastern Guide Dogs and Minnesota Lighthouse for the Blind, which was beginning the involvement with many community organizations over the years. Gene has served in numerous leadership roles, including chairman of the board of the United Way Foundation, Manatee County, American Red Cross, Manatee County, Southeastern Guide Dogs, and Mote Marine Laboratory. He has also served as a board member for the United Way of Manatee County, for Minnesota Lighthouse, St. Stephen's Episcopal School, and the Foundation for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Manatee County. He is currently on the board of Manatee Community Foundation, Mote Marine Foundation, and Mote Marine Laboratory. He has also volunteered his time in assisting many nonprofits, business groups, and civic associations in the planning, management, financial, and governance area. Gene and his wife, Ann, have been both actively involved in diverse groups of nonprofits in the community to help better serve their mission while also inspiring others both philanthropically and in volunteer service. In 2008, both were honored to receive the Lifetime Spirit Award of the Manatee Community Foundation, admitted to the Worshipful Company of Needlemakers Guild as a Freeman of the City of London. Gene and his wife, Ann, have resided in the area for over 39 years. They have 4 children and 11 grandchildren. I had the fortune of meeting Gene as just a few years ago. When I got here, I was 25 years old, and I went to some EDC meetings that Hugh described. And I remember sitting in those rooms and thinking, this gentleman, the only word I could come up with is statesmanlike. He took things, as they said in the video, he took things, listened to everybody's positions, and then tried to get everybody moving in the same direction. And I've seen that over the years. One other example is the facility you're sitting in right now today. Gene was very influential and helpful at the beginning of this process to make sure that the Manatee Players facility had the opportunity to be what it is today. And I look back at that and I said, and I remember back when I was younger, and I said, you know, Gene is somebody that I would like to emulate in our community, because I think it's so important, and the work that he does in our community has just been wonderful. And that's proven out since 1984 that every year he's doing something to better our community. And I just think that's wonderful. I'd like to give him a round of applause. Before I present the award to Gene, I'd like to share with all of you the significance of the Good Scout Award. Your statue is a small replica of the famous original called the Ideal Boy Scout, sculpted by Dr. R. Tate McKenzie. Dr. R. Tate McKenzie was a surgeon, physical educator, artist, and sculptor who lived from 1867 through 1938. He was a personal friend of Sir Baden-Powell, the founder of Scouting. When asked in 1914 to create something tangible that would stand as a symbol for what Scouting stood for, Dr. McKenzie sculpted the beloved statue portraying the ideal Boy Scout. The sculptor and longtime Scouter portrayed in the statue the grand traits of the character he knew the movement to instill in a boy. To Dr. McKenzie, the uncovered head represented reverence and obedience. The axe on which the hand rests was a symbol of George Washington's truthfulness. Later, this statue was redone life-size, a copy of which now stands in front of the National BSA office in Irving, Texas. At this time, I would like to present to Gene Beckstein the 2018 Distinguished Good Scout Award.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you.
Wow, great.
Now it's your turn.
Okay. Yes, you would. Well, this has been a really overwhelming event. It's caused me one small problem. I still have my Scout sash. It's been at my bedside for a long time. So I had to dig it out when they called me. And so I couldn't really recognize some of the awards and that you have to get. And I only made Star, by the way, where Bruce made Eagle. Anyway, Bruce looked it over, and he was telling me the other day what the merit badges were. And one of them was for cooking. And Ann claims I've hid this from her all these years. So anyway, thank you all very much for being here to support Scouting. My wife Ann is here, and we've been together, as I said, for over 60 years. And Lee is well over 60 because we met in college. And we're there for a couple, 3 years before we got married. And our children, our daughter Julie and husband Butch Ovens, and our daughter Leslie and husband Russ, and our grandson Bryce Tilton at our table, and our son Bruce, and his wife Lisa, and our twin grandsons Carter and Graham Beckstein, who are at St. Stephen's in a junior year, getting ready for the final year. This is really greatly appreciated, and it's really hard to express it in the right words. It's really overwhelming. But Scouting history, actually, it was through 3 generations in our family. When I was growing up, my father was, I think it was called a neighborhood commissioner. They went around and helped. He went around to help Cub Packs and Scout troops to make sure the leadership and everything was working in the best way. And my mother was a den mother. And my brothers, Jack, he went into Scouts, and then he even went into Sea Scouts, which I didn't even know they had Sea Scouts back then. And then my brother Jim, he made Eagle Scouts, and he worked professionally for the Boy Scouts for 10 years in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And today, he has a Scout license plate, and he has been on the board and working for the Scouts in Fort Wayne, Indiana forever. And he's still very, very active. After my military service, we moved to Fort Wayne, and I started again with the Boy Scouts as a volunteer. Ann was in Cub Scouts, daughter's Girl Scouts. And we moved to Manatee in '78, and as we heard already, and Bruce made Eagle Scout, which was really, really wonderful. I think all of the Scout Oath and the Scout models and everything are things that you could use and carry on in life, and they will help you in what you're trying to do. And I'd also like to introduce 2 special people here, because philanthropy in Manatee County is really important, and very important if you want to help either by volunteering or in your resources. And I would say Marilyn Howard and her husband John. John and I worked on the players. He was chair of this committee, and Marilyn was with the Manatee Community Foundation when it started, and then retired a couple years ago as executive director. And Susie Lilly and her husband Larry are here, and we were so fortunate to find Susie. She was down in Sarasota, but now she's up in Bradenton. And she is doing a great job as our chief executive for the Manatee Community Foundation. And I think what's really important, if you're going to be in philanthropy, you need help. And I'd say Marilyn and Susie are extremely important in our community to help you in ideas of what might be the kind of philanthropy that you would like to support, either as a volunteer or as some of your resources. And our family history has always supported that you want to try to keep your community healthy by volunteering and giving back a portion of what you have been blessed to receive. As we do better in life, we need to share more to our community, and that is our family philanthropy. In fact, we set up a family philanthropy fund at the Manatee Community Foundation, and every year we give a substantial amount to each one of our 4 children, and for them to decide what nonprofit would they like to support. And so thank you all for coming to support Scouting and for the wonderful honor you have given to Ann and I. God bless the Boy Scouts and God bless America. Thank you.
Well, as we approach the end of this evening, I want to thank everybody for being here. But again, Gene, and thank you for what you've done in our community. Gene's family, thank you for sharing him with our community. It's a great honor, and we really appreciate it. I remember as a young man, not a young man, but a young boy, growing up in Onico. We had a small scout troop, and for me, I remember earning that first merit badge. Didn't even know quite what it was, and I don't even remember what I got it in. But I remember how it made me feel, and I think it instilled that sense of achievement. And once you plant that seed in a young person, that seed will grow. So a little merit badge means a lot. Again, thanks for being here. I want to recognize Greg and Brandon. They've kind of been back there behind the scenes putting this all together. These guys are great. They were wonderful to work with. They're with the Southwest Council of the Boy Scouts, and they exemplify be prepared. They have everything down to a T. So once again, on behalf of the youth that are served by the Boy Scouts of America, our region, thank you for your support. It will pave the way for thousands of today's youth to become tomorrow's leaders. Before we leave, though, we have a closing video that we'd like for you to watch.